Well, Hap, it sure seems that the word precision is a consistent theme with the Nano Hone product. The precision of the abrasives being labeled in microns instead of in grit sizes, the precision of the aluminum plates, which are perfectly milled out and replaceable and used throughout the whole stage system, the precision of the diamond measurements that you're using, the precision of how flat we're keeping the stones to make a very precise primary edge on the blades, and just the precision in every single detail, all the milling and the engineering and the construction. Was there anything I missed?
You pretty much hit everything. I might add that these ceramics are all splash and go, which means you just put water on them and start sharpening. We don't have to soak these, so these are not soakers. In the technical nomenclature, they're called non-porous ceramics. But yeah, you hit all the points there. Absolutely. So the next grouping here are my diamond surf stones. And
yeah, I've been using these for a few days now, and I love them.
Well, they're super aggressive. You know, I wanted something that would take a lot of metal really, really quickly, something that, you know, would just be super aggressive. And when you look at this one that's 250 microns, these diamonds are giant.
Yeah, I know it feels a lot more granular than the what's that, 50?
This one is a 50 micron.
Yeah, 50 micron.
Yeah, so this is around 200, 225 grit range, something like that. This is 3 times bigger than that. Yeah. You know, so it's like a 40 grit or something.
Yeah, and these are optimized for grinding the harder powder metallurgy steels that the ceramics really can only just barely bite into, like your ZDPs, your LMAXs, and so on, with a higher Rockwell of over 64 hardness.
Well, we're seeing a lot more of those powder metals. They're, you know, coming out in folders. They're coming out in some of the kitchen cutlery. We're seeing a lot of these really exotic, very hard metals, and really the only way to cut them is with diamonds.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about these stones here?
So to my mind, this is probably the most important product that I've been working on for years. I've probably been studying this problem for 20 years, and these are my current solutions to all the parameters that come into play of flattening, cleaning, and chamfering a stone. And so what I've tried to do is hit the price points, for one thing, because not everybody's going to buy a very expensive high-end lapping plate. So I want to make a product available for them. And then other people want a reasonable, but not necessarily the most expensive approach. And then there are other people that, you know, aren't as concerned about the cost, but what they really want is something that's very high precision. And I've really tried to cover that in these products. So you can use my my diamond surf stone to flatten, clean, and chamfer your stones, and it would be the least expensive and really very adequate approach to flattening, cleaning, and chamfering. And then I have these 2 plates, the Ridge Tech, and is what I call them, is ridge technology. And both of these are really the same. Only difference is that one is much coarser, larger diamond than the other. This has a smaller, finer diamond. But these are a veneer of diamonds over an aluminum backing plate. And what I've tried to do is maximize the number of edges. So the star and hexagon has lots and lots of edges and lots of clearance, so that when you're flattening the sharpening stone, the slurry has a place to go, the plate doesn't stick to the stone, and it has those edges come into play and can really do the aggressive flattening and cleaning. And then on the highest end, what I've come up with is this bad boy. It's heavy.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. It's just do a little bit of weightlifting with that guy.
Yeah, it's really heavy. And that's because this is a solid plate of stainless steel. So it's a really heavy duty thing. It's machined and milled. And then it has these buttons in it. And these buttons are all diamond metal powder that are mixed together and sintered at very high temperature. So you end up with basically a solid diamond button. And you can't machine these. They're unmachinable. They're way too hard to actually put on a machine and turn them. We can lap them very slowly with a very precise lapping system, and that's what we do. And so it has a life that's incredible. You really can't practically wear this thing out in our application.
Right. I sure love to hear back from any of our customers who ever wear one of these out.
Oh boy, if you wear one of those out, I mean, I would be very, very impressed.
Yeah. They'll be the ones filming the next video because they'll surpass us in their
I'm
knowledge
telling
and
you,
understanding.
They won't sleep either. It's going to be a 24/7 thing.
Tell me, how do you get the coloring on the aluminum?
Well, we use two different kinds of anodizing processes. The colors are all a standard anodize, but with colors. And anodize is a method of sealing and coloring, finishing aluminum. And we like anodizing a lot because it also lasers really well. So we can put the information about the stone into the surface. It's real cleanable. And then our ponds and stages here, these are finished with what's called hard coat anodized. So it's like 100 times thicker than this. And this product is going to be used and reused in water and cleaning. And so I've put a much more robust, thicker finish on these products.
Well, like we said, we have a very large array of very highly engineered and complex sharpening abrasives, and yet the dichotomy is that sharpening itself is very, very simple in concept.
It really is.
And fairly simple to master.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to get into here in a little bit. Before we get in there, let's just talk a little bit more about your stage and the pond. And we have two different sizes and shapes of pond here. Why don't you tell them a little bit about why you engineered the stage this way and tell us about the ponds.
Well, the round pond is my most popular product. I call it my moon pond. And this is a granite countertop here.
Which is usually pretty slippery and slick.
Yeah. And this is no.
If you tried to use a stone on here, it's likely everything's going to slip all over the place and be dangerous and frustrating.
So what I did is this is a solid aluminum billet. This is a really heavy duty thick piece of aluminum, and then we milled out everything in here. So it's not like pressed and bent. This is a heavy duty thing. And then we routed a groove out around the outside, and I filled it with a silicone rubber tubing. And when you do that, you end up with something that just...
Yeah, that's absolutely rock solid.
Yeah.
Rock solid.
And so this is really the centerpiece of our system, and I call it the stone stage. And all of our products fit on top of the stage. And the stage sits in the pond, and again, I mean, look at that.
If there's some water under here or water on the stage, does it still stay stable?
It stays pretty good. You may, if you get a lot of slurry in there and you get a lot of water mixed, you might, if you get it to slip a little bit, just dump it and clean it. And
that'd be your indicator. Right, but it would take a lot to do that.
It does. It takes quite a bit to really do that. And then this round one is nice because actually you can work at any angle that you like. You can turn it like a clock hand in there.
Yeah.
And so you can sharpen in any direction you like that really kind of fits your style.
Now, besides being a base for the stage, what other practical applications? I mean, why do we have a rim here? What's the practical application of the pond?
Well, it collects the water.
Keeps it clean.
Keeps it clean. Keeps your area clean.
Yep.
So it keeps all your mess contained. And I've even added these little stainless steel plugs here in the surface, and you can pull those plugs out with just a little 1/4-inch Allen. And what that'll do, I mean, if this is your sink right here, you could just hang it over the edge of your sink, and drain right into your
Oh,
sink.
fantastic! Yeah, and sharpening over the sink is something I've been teaching for years. One of the advantages is a nice, clean, fresh supply
Having
of
that
water.
yeah.
Because we really, I mean, this is your design, but our combined goal with the Carter-Stanley method is to encourage people to bring sharpening out of the garage or the work shed,
absolutely,
and into the kitchen, which is really where most people are using their cutlery morning, afternoon, and night. I mean, nothing gets as used as frequently as a kitchen knife, and everybody knows that their kitchen knives at home probably aren't as sharp as they could be. Probably,
and it's one more thing. Think about going out to the garage, and if you set this up in your kitchen, then you don't have any excuse. You can't put it off. It's right there. My knife's not working. You sharpen it a little bit and go back to work. I think that's really important.
Yeah, we can't overstate the importance of encouraging our viewers to bring their sharpening system into the kitchen. Obviously, you don't have to get all these stones out and put them on your kitchen countertop. And in fact, as Hap will talk about later, if you want the full set, then you can get all of these individual stones. But for most people, they're going to be able to do with just a handful of these. And so their setup's going to be a lot less complicated. We're just simply showing you today all the different options.
Sure.
But if it's in your kitchen, then there's no procrastination. You're going to use your sharpening stones more frequently, and you are going to be empowered with the mastery of sharpening, and there'll be no more struggling with cutting through greasy, fatty bacon, acorn squash, crushing any tomatoes, or you can make yourself sushi right in the kitchen and eat your fish raw and fresh if you like. Your blades will be that sharp.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah. Bring it out of the garage into the kitchen. If you make a little more mess than the average person, then I made a big pond for you. And the big pond is also nice because you can set up 2 stages side by side, and now you can have your polished stone on one, and you can put your coarser stone on the other, so you can just go right back and forth between the stones. So, you can certainly use it this way as well.
And then I noticed this pond has 2 plugs that you can remove, either one to do the same thing. I'm assuming hang it over the edge of a sink and drain it as you're using it.
Yeah, just depending on your orientation, you can have it drain either way.
Yeah, and the other beautiful thing about the ponds and about the way you use water as a lubricant on the stones is that we're going to use minimal amount of water, which means minimal amount of mess and cleanup, which again, you could have food you're preparing right here, you could be sharpening right here, there's not going to be any cross-contamination. It's not like bringing out 3-in-1 machine oil to use like you would on oil stones, and then worry about that oil getting everywhere, getting yourself dirty, getting ruining your clothes, contaminating your food. I mean, this is a very, very contained system, very easy.
Yep.
So we really want to encourage our viewers, don't be put off by the complexity of the stones or the system, because we're going to show you that sharpening is really easy, and with just a minimal amount of effort, you can master it. So I want to ask you, Hap, what is a reasonable expectation of viewers who maybe have never sharpened anything by hand before, and now we're trying to introduce them to all these beautiful colored stones and complex system? What kind of effort, if they put forward, can they expect to gain a certain proficiency or even mastery?
Well, I think this is the beginning of the Carter-Stanley method right here. We're going to start digging in here from now into the minutia of sharpening. I think, and have thought for a long time, that if you sharpen 2 to 5 minutes a day and you do a little bit often, that you'll become a really good sharpener in 2 or 3 months.
Well, that's exactly what I used to tell people as well, is you don't want to do too much all at once and get over eager and start sharpening and develop cramps and discomfort and frustration with your first couple of attempts and then give up. So just a little bit at a time. I think in a few months, with just a little bit of effort, the light bulbs will start to switch on. You're going to start to see the relationship between your blade, your workpiece, and your abrasive. And we're going to help paint for you guys a picture in your mind as what it is you're trying to accomplish with sharpening. You know, what is it with all those different angles and primary and secondary edges?
Yeah.
What is it you're trying to accomplish? And once you can see that in your mind's eye, then the abrasive, the abrading or grinding part of that Carter-Stanley method is actually the easier part.
Keep this setup, you know, look, that doesn't take up much counter space. Keep it out there where you can see it. It'll make you mindful. It'll make you, you know, there's my sharpening system. It's kind of like a magnet. I got to get over there and do my 2 minutes today.
Well, Hap, for anyone who is as enthusiastic about your sharpening system as I am, they'll probably want to get every single product that you have to offer. It's going to give them great flexibility, and really they'd be able to sharpen any blade on this green earth. However, for a beginner, that might be a little bit overwhelming. So what beginner system would you recommend for someone just getting into it?
I think of it just like sandpaper, coarse, medium, and fine. You know, I really think a basic system is 3 stones. So I would get a 35 micron 400 stone. I'd get a 15 micron 1000 grit stone, and you could choose either one of these, the 3000 or the 6000. You know,
let's go for the best.
let's go for the best.
For the finest,
you know,
yeah.
The finest. So
Yeah.
now you've got a stone that'll take chips out. It'll, you know, it might be a little slow at times, but it will reprofile and reshape, and it'll get knives into the form that you want them. This stone will smooth out those scratches, and that'll put your final edge on.
I'll put that razor sharp edge on. And
Absolutely.
then, do we need one of these diamond lapping plates for
You know,
maintenance?
You really do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the hard bite. People are like, oh man, do I really need a lapping plate? I'll tell you, if it were me, I would take 1 stone and a lapping plate right there. I could do more with that than having 3 stones and no lapping plate.
Okay, well, this is a great lapping plate to start with. This is the one that's electrically plated to the nickel.
It is, yeah, exactly.
Yep. And then I can't live with just 1 lapping plate and 1 stone. So I'm going to need.
Yeah.
What do we got here? We've got the 15 micron. So I would take this and the 2 micron,
Yeah.
and that'd be a great start right there.
Oh
I
my,
think.
you'd be all set.
Yeah, and with this very simple setup, you know, as you gain experience and as finances allow, you could start incorporating the other stones
Absolutely.
into your system and have a sharpening system that
Absolutely.
every one of your neighbors and other knife enthusiast friends would be envious of.
And Murray, I'm not giving up. I got more stuff coming. I just keep thinking of things to put on that stage.
Well, I've been in your shop, in your lab, and I see you're cooking up all sorts of new ideas and new products, and just your enthusiasm for the whole sharpening industry is really contagious, Hap.
Well, thank you.